Hey, welcome to VMware Explore 2024, day one. John, you look so much better with a beard, by the way.
It's because I'm missing my hat.
Yeah, we are podcasting all week here in the hub, and I tell John this all the time, but there's so many great things about podcasting at Explore because there's so many. This is where all the smart people come. We got the engineers, we got all of the product managers, we got decision makers here. We also have customers with really challenging, suggestions or questions, and so it's a learning experience. It's a give and take. I'm having a great time. How about you?
I mean, there's no better way to learn not only the breadth and depth of all the stuff that we've been building on all the different teams at VMware by Broadcom, but at the same time, customers get one place to come and learn about all the different things that we're doing too. So it's a win-win for everybody. Absolutely. And I'm having a great week so far.
And for those that can't see on video, if you're listening to the audio version, that is not John Nicholson. It is Michael Roy, our good friend of the podcast, who's sitting in on this conversation. And we are not alone. We're talking cyber resiliency today. There's been some announcements lately as it pertains to VMware Live Recovery and just the whole cyber resiliency story in general. So we're going to dig into it. We got two great people to talk to us about that, starting with our good friend, Belu de Arbelaiz. How you doing, Belu?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back. She's not alone. She brings Mr. Jatin Jindal. Jatin, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I am ready to pop the hood on this one. There's a lot of good stuff coming on. Maybe we can start with some VMware Live Recovery.
Yeah, so Belu, we recently had you on a VMUG webcast not too long ago, so I got a little bit of an understanding of sort of the breadth and depth and the scope, and I believe there was a statistic on there that said something like 80% of organizations have been faced with ransomware in the past couple of years, which to me is kind of staggering. So with that context, what can you tell our audience about what they need to know about live recovery, what's new, and what are some of the key announcements they're going to hear at Explore?
Sure, that's a great question. So it is true what you're saying. The number of organizations hit with ransomware has been on the rise. Modern attacks are particularly insidious because they are primarily fileless in nature, right? So many people are struggling to contain and identify these modern threats. And that is a big part of what we have been sharing and bringing to our customers with the existing capabilities in VMware Live Recovery. Now, at Explore this year, we have a series of very cool announcements that are designed to bring everything one step further, right? To enable our customers to do everything anywhere, right? To enable them to recover faster, to enable them to simplify their recovery operations as a whole, right? So the first announcement that we're going to make is related to an accelerated cyber recovery thanks to local vSAN snapshots. So what we are doing now is we have integrated VMware Live Recovery with the vSAN Snapshot Manager.
Nice.
So if there's proper replication set up in the Onpremises VMware Cloud Foundation environment, you are creating these local vSAN snapshots. And essentially what we are doing, and this is really important with cyber recovery in particular, right? Because as we know, when you get hit, it isn't as easy as just picking your latest recovery point and bringing that up, failing back. It's not as straightforward. So it is for that reason that when customers have to roll back to a recovery point that could be days or even weeks old, the amount of data delta that exists between the recovery point that they have chosen and what's in production can be pretty substantial, right? Yeah. So the value of this integration relies on our ability to be able to recover from these cyber events directly from a local vSAN snapshot that is already within the production environment. So the benefit that this brings to our customers is essentially a much faster failback, right? Because the data transfer from the IRE back to production doesn't need to happen, right? You just need to communicate to the vSAN Snapshot Manager what snapshot you're recovering from. And based on testing and measurements that we have done, we can say that failback can be up to 16x faster than if you were to recover from the IRE. So
that is
pretty
interesting.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, that is really cool. So Jatin, what about the new snapshots, the new vSAN snapshots makes it that much faster?
Yeah, so these local snapshots are based on new vSAN architecture, vSAN ESA architecture, and these local snapshots, when put together with VMware Live Cyber Recovery, really do wonders, as Belu mentioned. So VMware Live Cyber Recovery, it has been a solution out there for about 4 years. It's purpose-built for ransomware recovery. Now local snapshots, where you can take snapshots up to 200 per VM, which is basically since it's the first product out there, we start with 200 snapshots, but the way we have architected it, it's basically an infinite chain of snapshots. So now you can use VMware Live Cyber Recovery and these local snapshots to do faster recovery. That's very critical to reduce the downtime.
So are we hearing that snapshots are indeed backups now?
Yeah, I mean, old snapshots were very different. Like, could you imagine having 255 snapshots on the old version of snapshots? That would bring your performance environment to its knees, right?
Yeah. This one does not have any impact on the performance. These are natively built snapshots. So that's why we can have infinite chain of snapshots which can help with recovery.
I like it. So cool. That's VMware Live Recovery using vSAN snapshots. I also hear there's some news with on-prem IRE.
Yeah, so we are announcing on-prem ransomware recovery solution. So we have been providing a ransomware recovery solution with VMware Live Recovery, which allows an IRE based in cloud. It's great because you can deploy an on-demand IRE in the cloud itself, but many customers, they want to keep their data on-prem, right? They don't want to move their data to the cloud for data sovereignty reason. Then for such customers, on-prem ransomware recovery is the perfect solution. Now you can have your IRE, which is an isolated recovery environment, on your customer managed data center. It integrates with vSAN, NSX, the whole VCF stack, and you can use VCF Ops Console, which we introduced in VCF 9.0 through a single template, right? So deployment is very easy, the isolation is push button, and the recovery, it's accelerated. So on-prem IRE really helps with ransomware recovery.
Why is it on? Why do we have it on premises? Is there any value to having it on premises versus having it in the cloud, like a cloud recovery, or?
Yeah, it does meet customers' requirements for data sovereignty, so you don't need to move your data to the cloud. And also, customers, they have their data centers, they might be using it as a secondary DR site. Now they don't need to get another site, they can use the same site for ransomware recovery.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the old days of SRM where you had to have 2 full data centers to fail over to, but yeah, that's not the case where we can actually have this. That's good, I like that. So tell me about this vSAN snapshot replication.
So a little bit about this. This is important for the on-prem IRE use case that we were just mentioning, right? So what we are enabling now is vSAN to vSAN replication, right? So there's going to be remote snapshots in this secondary environment, right? And this is important because customers are going to be able to benefit from this replication while still have the DR orchestration that everyone knows and loves, right? Everything is managed from a unified appliance, right? So overall, this does add value to the on-premises IRE and to the disaster recovery for on-premises to on-premises topologies as well.
Very nice. Did you want to ask a follow-on question to Jatin?
Well, when we think about sort of the architecture, like what considerations now with these new capabilities do you think that admins would need to keep in mind if they're going to try and deploy something like this?
Yeah, so as Belu mentioned, this is for ransomware recovery or cyber recovery use case. There are 3 main things that you need when you are figuring out your architecture. First is you need a deep snapshot history. So now you have deep snapshots on your remote site, which is based on vSAN ESA. And second, you need some embedded EDR to do the cleaning and patching, because once your snapshots you are trying to clean, you need to bring in the specialist. You need to bring in the EDR. And third is all this needs to be orchestrated. So that is required for the quick recovery so that you can reduce downtime. So these are the 3 main things which architects should keep in mind when they are designing their ransomware recovery solution.
And when you say orchestration, what technology is employed for that?
Yeah, so for this, what we are doing is we are taking what we have, Site Recovery Manager, which has been the bread and butter for DR admins for many years. We are enhancing it. We will add some features to it, for example, recovery from older snapshots in time. We will add multiple retention schedule to it. And we will also bring in ransomware recovery workflows that you get with VMware Live Recovery in cloud, we will bring them on-prem. So all of this will be built together into a unified orchestrator, which customers can use to recover.
Okay. I don't want to. I don't want to jump the gun here, and I know you're not in. You're not like a product manager, but what is the deadline? What is the timeline on this? When are we going to be able to see this?
So first version of this is planned for VCF 9.0.
Oh, okay. VCF 9, excellent. Okay, so not in 5.2. So
yeah, so this is VCF 9.0. We are planning an early access program in January. So if customers are interested, please reach out. But yes, we are very excited to bring this in VCF 9.0.
And so this is going to be a component of VCF. If you have VCF, you will have this as an add-on, or is it baked in? How's that going to work?
So it's a part of the VCF SKUs. You get NSX, vSAN, as well as vSphere and VCF Ops. And for the orchestration piece, you need VMware Live Recovery. VLR, that's an add-on SKU. So that's a complete BOM that you would need for the ransomware recovery solution.
I think it really speaks to the fact that with VCF, the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I'm probably saying that wrong. But like with VCF as a solution, it combines all of these different disparate technologies and brings them all together under a single house, a single unified, portal for managing it, for accessing, for viewing it, consuming it, all of that. This sounds like a great thing for admins.
yeah, and I'd love to finish with that, Belu. Maybe you can like land this plane for us. Like you and I did a session recently talking about just sort of the whole cyber resiliency story. VMware Live Recovery being a part of that story, having also protection, threat protection, advanced AVI load, the whole security story. But really, VMware Live Recovery being the a key component of that. So, how does all of this fit into VMware's larger vision for security for VCF customers?
That's a very important question, right? Because the customer ultimately wants to know, how does this fit into my broader strategy, my end-to-end cyber resilience? And one thing that I think many organizations are coming to realize, right, is that cyber resiliency is no longer optional if you want to deploy a modern private cloud, right? So it is important, and as Michael mentioned, a key pain point that many IT teams face today is this manual stitching, this integration of all these separate products, right? For all these separate use cases, the networking, the EDRs, the recoveries, the backups, the manual hardening of the infrastructure, all of these things just become a very big pain point, right? And IT resources are already very constrained. So we are working to be able to address some of these big challenges. So as part of the end-to-end cyber resiliency story and value proposition that we are delivering on at VMware, we talk about how the VCF platform infrastructure comes hardened out of the box, right? So the identity federation, the automated non-disruptive patch management, the data at rest and in transit encryption, all of these compliance management and auto remediation things that are critically important, right? Because they are still a part of enabling this cyber resiliency. Now, the second layer is more about the lateral security, right? So you have all of these mechanisms that are designed to allow our customers to visualize the behavior of their network traffic through signature and behavior-based detection. This would be with IDS, IPS. There's network traffic analysis with zero-day threat detection and sandboxing. So all of these things come together to enable these preventative mechanisms and essentially prevent the sprawl of an attack should one come in. And then the topic for today, of course, VMware Live Recovery, right? This is the last line of defense for our customers. This is what if everything else goes wrong? Because we all know that even state-of-the-art security solutions aren't effective 100% of the time.
Absolutely.
It only takes 1 weak link.
There you go. So this really ties into the broader cyber resiliency story where we are able to enable the prevention and detection and finally the recovery in all these layers of the infrastructure.
Yeah, that is a great story. And the thing I like about it the most is, could you imagine if you had to do that like build all the various components that it takes to do all of those different things into one software. It would take way too long. But that's the beauty of leaning on what already exists, like vSphere, and so, having this hypervisor and having all of these tools that are inside of VMware that are already there that work together, and then we can actually leverage those and actually have some great software like this. This is great. I want to thank both of you for joining us on Virtually Speaking, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, thank
you
you so much, guys.